Hey everybody, Ed here with the Digital Digest, and today I wanted to share a quick update on my experience with the Samsung Galaxy Tab Pro 8.4. This 8.4-inch Android tablet is priced at $399.99 for the 16GB Wi-Fi only version. It comes in two different colors, the black we have here as well as white, and in terms of performance it offers some best-in-class features, especially when looking at a sub 10-inch premium tablet. So first and foremost, we've got a 2560 by 1600 resolution clear type LCD display here, 8.4 inches, making it in terms of pixel density, the king of the hill among any device on the planet. And I have to tell you, when it comes to actual performance and what this looks like and the overall experience, I can say without a single hesitation, this is one of the best displays I have ever seen. And that's not a surprise because Samsung is quite frankly one of the better manufacturers out there and has been for a long time. So in terms of display, you're getting best-in-class performance. It does outdo everything else in the space, especially in this category. So whether we're comparing it to something like LG's G Pad 8.3, the Nexus 7, even though that's not an 8+ inch tablet, or of course Apple's iPad mini Retina, it just kills all of them. Now, that doesn't mean that everyone necessarily requires this bump up in resolution, but I can say without a single hesitation that anyone who sees it in front of them will want it over the competing products. In terms of processor performance, it has a best-in-class, at least current quad-core chip, the Qualcomm Snapdragon 800, and the S800 really is one of the best performers. So the same processor that's found in the Galaxy Note 3 right here in Samsung's top-of-the-line sub 10-inch tablet, at least as of right now in this 8.4-inch Pro offering. You've got 2 gigs of RAM, as I mentioned before, 16 gigs of internal storage. You also have a micro SD card slot for storage expansion, an infrared remote blaster on here to turn this into your universal remote control. And in terms of Wi-Fi, you do have dual band capability as well as AC connectivity. So a little bit of future proofing, something we see in a lot of newer top tier tablets these days and mobile devices in general, laptops as well. And Samsung really just did a very nice job with this. This device is thinner and lighter also than anything in its class. Yes, it does still predominantly it is made of plastics, but Samsung was wise in making the rear even more rubberized than the previous generation, which had still a very plastic feel, even though it had a textured look. Now we really actually got that textured backing, and this is something I really like, considering this does look very similar to last gen's backing that started with the Galaxy Note 10.1 2014 edition. It is considerably different. Yes, it does pick up more fingerprints because of the rubberized texture, but still a very good compromise in my opinion. Now, in terms of performance, I mentioned that great processor, I mentioned solid Wi-Fi performance. You also have Bluetooth 4.0 as well as GPS. And the cameras are also relatively solid. We've got an 8-megapixel shooter on the back with an LED flash, and on the front end we have a 2-megapixel camera for your video chat purposes. It's not going to blow anything away. A tablet is a tablet, and just to get decent camera performance, which is what I've seen so far with this, is definitely solid. Now, in terms of the software overlay, we've got really beefy hardware here, but Samsung is notorious for their overlay, and TouchWiz has become Magazine UX. And I have to say, I'm not really seeing the lag that many people complained about with the Galaxy Note 10.1 2014 edition, or with also I'm assuming now many are going to claim the same thing with the 12.2 Pro Note Pro, because it does have the same hardware with a just a larger display. So the experience is expected to be very similar, even though it does benefit from being in KitKat, much like this tablet natively out of the box. The point is, a lot of people believe that the 800, the Snapdragon 800 under the hood, will be the difference maker. And so far from what I've seen, it does definitely have a performance edge in terms of at least handling the load that this tablet is carrying. And since it is driving the same resolution as its larger counterparts, there's something to be said for why Samsung really wouldn't have utilized the 800 across the board. After all, they entrusted the Galaxy Note 3 to Qualcomm. Why not their tablet line? And I'm not going to get into that clearly. There's money to be made in making your own chips, which is something Samsung does. But all of that aside, this tablet really has stunned me, both in terms of its display, overall performance, multitasking. Yes, we don't have the pen experience here. The physical button is still something I appreciate. The back and multitasking button is something we always should have had, and now we do have. A quick swipe on the right side brings up our multi-window capability, just more multitasking capability, something that Samsung has continued to expand on in their Galaxy brand and product lineup, but specifically on the higher-end tablets that have the processing power to do proper multitasking, because there's nothing worse than offering the capability and not being able to fulfill. And that's not something that Samsung has done with any of their top-tier products, and the 8.4 that we're looking at here is no exception. In terms of included software, like all Samsung tablets, beyond their overlay, there's quite a bit, but their overlay has a lot of benefits. You can see it's retooled here in terms of the actual notification bar, quick access to some critical settings, but this is nothing new. If you want to jump directly into settings, you hit the cog and there you are. This looks just like it does on previous Android devices, and it works the same as well. Quick access to everything in terms of Samsung's paneled access, I should say. And that's pretty much it in terms of the actual settings. I'm not going to go through that. In terms of software out of the box, you get Google's software suite, as you would expect. And in addition to that, of course, Chrome pre-installed, the Play Store, Samsung's very own Contacts app, which will look familiar if you have a Galaxy-branded phone. That's the idea here. The browser, which I will show you right now, fairly solid. The camera functionality, in terms of performance, I mentioned, it's definitely one of the better ones out there, and that's because Samsung has been working on it. There are a lot of different modes, as you can see here, and that's something that does differentiate them from the pack. But, every manufacturer has their strong suits when it comes to trying to innovate on the camera side of things, and some ignore it completely. Samsung does embrace that they realize users are going to want to use the camera capability, and you can switch in and out, of course, of video and still mode and capture at 1080p in terms of video recording as well. And the 1920 by 1200 the 2560 by 1600 resolution, caught myself there in a gaffe. I was thinking of the LG G Pad, but the resolution here really is just, again, a game changer for this size tablet. I'll reiterate that over and over again, and the fact that battery life is so solid. I have the screen brightness right now cranked up all the way for those of you that have been watching the percentage there. It really just does an amazing job. We're looking at a real 10 hours of battery life out of a tablet that's incredibly thin, has expandable storage, one of the best screens I've ever seen, solid cameras, and a best-in-class, at least right now, current generation quad-core processor. Of course, we've already got rumors about the new chips that are on the way, but despite all those rumors, this tablet's going to hold up for quite some time, especially when it begins to get discounted. Granted, it is brand new, but continuing on the software side of things, WebEx for the business users out there, as well as Remote PC, and that's part of this being a pro device, as well as e-meeting, Samsung's own file organizer, Dropbox, which Samsung does give you Dropbox space for those of you curious. This widget also retooled, all part of this new user interface that Samsung has redesigned, and it's all just beneficial, and that's something I'll explore more in a software tour of this device, specifically Samsung's own application store. If I jump into the actual app drawer, you can see fairly simple, straightforward, not a deviation from what we've seen in the past. And pretty much everything that I covered here. Also, we've got YouTube, Flipboard, Hancom Viewer, Netflix, the Google application suite, Samsung's own application suite, which includes some simple stuff, straightforward things. Their S-Voice, which I'm not a fan of. And beyond that, their own video service here, or excuse me, player, I meant. They do have their own video service, music, your photo gallery, all fairly basic. and Watch On, which is their application for using this as a infrared remote control to control your entire home theater system, television, whatever it may be that has an IR port. Watch On will pair your cable provider and give you listing information. Very cool application, something that I've demoed in the past and may demo with this since it has been updated and finally tuned for at least the latest generation. In terms of widgets, fairly basic here, and nothing really game-changing that I'm aware of that I've seen so far, but a decent list considering this is just out-of-the-box stuff. And that rounds things out. In terms of build quality, as I said again, I'm impressed. It's still manufactured in Vietnam, like the Galaxy Note 10.1 2014 edition. In fact, all of the tablets lately are, especially with this design, they have changed the bezel. If you can tell, if you haven't seen this in person, the bezel on the 2014 edition, the 10.1-inch Galaxy Note, that is, had ridges, as did the Galaxy Note 3. They've done away with that. It's now a smooth finish. And again, rubberized textured back that was missing before. Just key enhancements. Speakers, relatively loud. They are at the bottom of the tablet there, flanking the micro USB port. It is USB 2.0. I wish it was 3.0. I mentioned that in my unboxing. And I'll continue to reiterate that. The micro SD card slot, critical for storage expansion for those of you looking for that. And in terms of actual web browsing performance, I'll show you right now a quick demo here, because after all, I know a lot of people are wondering, I'm hitting that, what the stock performance is like. And Samsung by default always takes you to their Galaxy Perks stuff when you're dealing with a tablet like this that actually does come with quite a few perks out of the box. But let's go ahead and navigate quickly. This is the stock keyboard, by the way. I said quickly and meanwhile hit the wrong link there. Sad to see this violence in Ukraine, but you can see just very smooth web browsing here in terms of pinch to zoom performance. Also, just really solid. This is one of the best devices I've ever seen, I have to say. And that's from a personal standpoint, because the 8-inch class is something I've really been waiting on. As a big fan of the Toshiba Excite 7.7, anyone who follows my channel knows that I think that was one of the more underrated tablets of its time. And when you look at design cues now, it was certainly ahead of its time. And the fact that we don't have any Super AMOLED options yet in this class also disappoints me. But this is a really good second place if there ever was one. And it just performs incredibly well across the board. And that's the processor combined with all of the hardware, and that's because the Pro line does represent Samsung's best-in-class performance, and we're getting that here. So this is one of those tablets that, as it becomes less expensive, is only going to be even better, and I think it's fantastic right now, even at the $400 price point, which, yes, is very high, but this is best-in-class across the board, and that's not something that you can necessarily say for many other devices like this. The LG G Pad 8.3 is really the closest competition, and it really doesn't even compare to this in any way, in my opinion. And that's something that you'll see when I do compare these two tablets head-to-head. But again, loading times, I am on the 5 gigahertz band here on this, and the speed has been great. It's been fantastic, and you can see that in the load times, and again, how responsive things are. Let's open up another tab. Let's go to Engadget, which is of course going to give me a mobile site. Or no, we actually got the no, it is the mobile site. Engadget, just wanting to have that perfect blend of even fooling me there, but to get the full site, of course you always have to actually work for it with them. But the point is that performance is just there, and anything that I open up, you're going to see the acquisition for $19 billion that just went through. I mean, everything just works well, and the multitasking is there. Samsung's quick application menu here, basically giving you access to everything that's open and running simultaneously, and whether it's YouTube. I mean, this is just what I have running in the background right now from the course, really, of this video. And just like that, we're back at home. So this is a powerhouse, battery life is solid, and screen this 8.4-inch screen is really best in class. And since build quality seems to have gotten better, no creaks, no speaker grills that are loose, I really like what I see here. I think Samsung has done a really nice job, and eventually I will get around to a full software review of what the Magazine UX interface really represents. But right now, pretty much a lag-free experience, a gorgeous screen, great battery life. What is there not to like other than its price point, which I think is only going to soften like everything else. And even at its current price point, I think this absolutely kills the Apple competition, which is who Samsung is exactly after with the Pro offerings, because they're all identically priced with Apple's offerings. No more Note necessary in order to have best-in-class specifications. So really like this device. And, in terms of the whole Magazine UX experience, I will eventually get to that, even though I didn't cover it today, because it is one of the calling cards of this device. But I think a lot of you out there also are going to just ditch that and throw your own overlay on there, your own custom launcher, and really just are interested in the pure power that this tablet packs in such a compact form, which is what I love about it right now in my initial experience with it. But any questions or comments, please feel free to post them. And of course, as usual, please feel free to subscribe. Later.